I have this same issue with us as well, where
Sorry, it's my work. Hang on. Coop, I want to Coop. Okay, we can go. So drivers will call in sick, and it goes from message bank here. I should have sorry, so it's the main phone going off. I'm surprised I didn't go off more today. Sorry about that. Keep going.
Welcome back, friends, and Jordan Peele's PR team to the Complete Guide to Horror podcast. Today, we're discussing Mr. Peele's third foray into the horror genre, the mixed Nope. Now, I'm intrigued by Jordan Peele. I find his productions quite hit and miss. So, for instance, while I did love all three of his written-directed horror films, including Nope, Us and Get Out, I mean, they did have some issues with them, but overall, I liked them. But most of his movies and TV shows that are produced under his monkey paw banner are either really great or just half-baked ideas. And it does veer into mediocre territory. So, I remember back in 2018, I was so excited to see that he was rebooting The Twilight Zone. Had a lot of faith in him, given that, he's a really great writer after seeing Get Out. But, with the new Twilight Zone, I would say probably maybe 6 out of the 20 episodes were good to great, but the rest were just completely forgettable. And I mean, it was a huge attack on me personally. So fuck you, Jordan Peele, because I'm a huge Twilight Zone stan. I watched the original 50s version with my mum and, the huge diehard fan of the 80s version, even the 2002 adaptation, which was, I mean, if anyone has never watched the 2002 version of the Twilight Zone, definitely go and watch it. It is the strangest TV show I've ever watched. But I felt like a lot of the new adaptations were just so boring, and it didn't feel like this was something written and directed by Jordan Peele, nor was it even produced by him. And I don't know, I kind of feel like it was okay, but this is also how I feel about Nope. I think it's one of those movies in the same vein as, say, like Hereditary or Midsummer, where the first time you're just processing everything, and then the second time you pick up more and more things as you keep watching it. So I'm not surprised that, this has quite mixed reception. It is quite boring in some parts, and the whole reveal of the so-called alien leaves more questions than answers. So I'm not surprised that, if you type in Nope on Reddit, that there's a lot of hate for this movie. There's a lot of positivity for this movie. There's some people who are just confused as to what it could represent, because there's a lot of Easter eggs, but I don't know if they're actually there for a reason, like the shoe that's standing up at the opening sequence of the movie that's referenced a few times. So yeah, I'm very happy to dive into this one. So BP, what do you think about Nope?
Nope. So I've seen it twice as well. I saw it a preview screening, and then that was 4 or 5 weeks ago, and then I saw it again. I agree with you, Justin. I think the first time it's pretty decent. I did watch it again just today or a bit earlier. I still think it's pretty good. I think though, one thing that I need to get out of the way with this movie in general is I feel like the promotion, the marketing of this was kind of really poorly done. The teaser initially was really cryptic and it sort of drew me in. And even the poster now kind of irritates me that it's got like a horse in the air because it looks like a wolf. And there's something about this movie that just straight off the bat, I just don't think they did a real good selling of it. And I question the production budget because I know what's going on in this movie, and I know there's a lot of CGI. Yeah, I know there's a lot of CGI going on in this movie, but 68 million, come on, we're filming on a ranch here. I don't know. I know CGI costs a lot, but I know Jim Carrey's not in this. It's not 23 million going to him. It's not Adam Sandler at Grown Ups, a ranch or something like that. Yeah. Anyway. So I think the movie is quite good. Jordan Peele as a director, writer, producer, I think he's pretty good. Us and Get Out, I they seem to sort of, I think there's a bit of a fan base there, and I still don't really understand Jordan Peele exactly. I think his movies are good. I don't think they're great like they're made out to be. I don't know. It's just me watching horror movies. Nope, I didn't really know what to expect. The actual reveal of the UFO just reminds me of one of those bath laundry tub plugs, the white ones. That's what it looks like. The whole time I just literally thought one of those things. What did I write about it? I wrote quite a thing. So I think like aesthetically it's really like well directed. I think a ranch is a completely different sort of thing to they seem to use. Sort of that doesn't really get me, but I think more the screams in the air and you're sort of wondering like where is this or where's this going. What else did I write? I think there was a good dynamic with the brother and the sister. The brother obviously being more reserved and quiet, possibly because of his father's death earlier on in the movie, and the sister being more sort of out there and loud and proud sort of thing, which I sort of think it's a really good relationship in this movie. It's not forced. It's not fake. I think it's genuine, and I think it helps move the movie along. I do have criticisms with this movie, but I think I might leave it for later on. But I think as the movie goes, it's different. The UFO sequence, as it goes on, it does drag on a little bit. And the runtime is a little bit long as well. But we'll talk about that more in detail.
Yeah. All valid points. The thing with this movie, which I didn't experience with Get Out or Us, is that I felt there were long times where I was waiting for something to happen. And like, yes, there were little bits here and there, like the TMZ reporter that gets sucked up, or the whole opening sequence through to I can't remember the name, the Star Lasso experience, where the crowd gets sucked up and everything. I was like, there were some bits in between where I was like, can this movie hurry up? Like, can they edit it down like another 15 or 20 minutes? But, you know, maybe that's a draw card for some people, just not myself personally. But before I go into my rant, Coop, what did you think about this movie?
I quite enjoyed the first half of the movie. I felt like it sort of lost it towards the end, particularly the last 30 minutes. Once they sort of started with their plan and the TMZ reporter showed up and everything started to go wrong, it didn't seem like any of the characters were doing anything logical. They were kind of just doing their own thing, running around like headless chickens. And then I felt like it kind of kept that theme up until the end of the movie, and it kind of left me feeling pretty disappointed with it. I thought the first half of the movie was really good. I'm always a fan of movies where you don't really see the thing that's coming to get you. And I feel like that's why the first half of the movie was really good. It's always just, oh, that cloud isn't moving. What the fuck is happening with that cloud? I honestly thought the scariest part of this movie was actually when that local gang of kids or whatever are wearing all the alien masks and they break into his barn. That was fucking creepy. Like the way that was filmed and like the moving heads and of course he said the name of the movie. Nope. Like I thought that was really good. I thought that was easily the scariest thing about this movie, and the whole idea of the movie is you've got this alien thing sucking people up from the ground, and the scariest thing in the movie was some local kids with masks on. I understood why they had this sort of side story with the former child star with the chimp going crazy, and the fact that it's alluding to the fact that the thing is an animal and all that kind of shit. I understand that, but it just it seemed kind of pointless otherwise. Like I don't feel like it really tied in that well. And then literally when it came to like the main event, he just got sucked up. That was it. So I feel like there was so much of that imagery for it to only mean nothing in the end of the movie. So in a sense, it was kind of pointless. And it's a shame too, because like I thought it was really well filmed even though it was just like a CGI chimp and all that shit. I thought that was really well done, and that opening scene is really striking of the bloody chimp with the birthday hat on and all that kind of shit. But it didn't really tie in with the rest of the movie. So I think the whole thing seemed kind of a little bit too convoluted to me. I have just seen it the once. You mentioned that you didn't like it the first time, and that looking back you caught other things. That might be the case for me. Maybe I need to watch it again, but I didn't really think that much of it. I really liked Get Out. I didn't really like Us. So coming into this, I was like, it's 50-50. It could go either way. I did like Get Out, but Us was kind of like, eh. And I kind of felt the same way about this as well, although I did think it was better than Us. It was at least more entertaining for me to try and grasp, a bit more wild. But it's not one of my favorite movies by any means.
It's interesting, actually. I was just thinking about this now. I can't remember what previous episode I made this comment, but I remember in a previous podcast episode I was talking about the use of metaphors. And in Get Out, there's a metaphor where the main female character, I can't remember her name, but she's eating cereal, but she's got the bowl of cereal in a glass, and then she's got or a bowl or whatever, and she's got a glass of milk, and it was supposed to be like separating the colored from the white, like the racist act of segregation and stuff. And I feel like with Jordan Peele, sometimes I feel like he's writing this, he's like, "Ooh, this is clever," and I'm like, not really. Like, there was a lot of things in Nope where, like, he's done an interview where he's like, this is my spectacle movie, and the whole thing is supposed to be a metaphor for people getting chewed up and spit out by the entertainment industry, literally with the alien chewing people up and spitting them back out and stuff. But I don't know if it really works per se. Like the opening sequence with the chimp and everything to say, you know, the effects of the entertainment industry on child stars. And then, but I was like, well, what's the point then if the same two child stars just get sucked up by the alien at the end anyway? Like, was it supposed to be repercussions for their obsession with wanting to be famous? Like I can never remember his name, but he was the one that owns a Star Lasso experience. He was feeding the horses to the alien, and then he gets sucked up as a result. And it's like, is it trying to say retribution or something? And then it goes into the whole spectacle of the alien itself. Like, it's trying to get the characters to look at it through its green eye thing towards the end when it finally unveils its like jellyfish looking form. But I don't feel like there was a lot lost in translation, and that was something I didn't pick up until the second time I watched this movie. But there were some scenes too where I don't know, I just wish there was a lot more shown on screen. Like when the crowd gets sucked up into the cloud, you don't really see them fly into the air. Like it's all concentrated on the one character. And like, yeah, you can see like a pair of legs float around in the background, but I just wish they had shown something so it would be more terrifying to watch. And I mean, even the whole digestion scene, I've seen different comments where people are saying, like, oh no, they're actually covered in an ooze that's burning them alive, like stomach acid. And then other people saying, no, they're trapped because there's one of the fake horses that are stuck in the stomach part of the alien. That's why, you know, you can hear them. And I didn't notice this till the third time I watched it. When they're in the house and the alien's hovering above them, just before it rains blood all over the house, you can hear the people still stuck in the alien screaming. And then there's a loud crunch, and then
Screaming stops. And
I was like, wow, so maybe they were stuck in there for a long time. But if there was stomach acid on them, were they alive, half dead, or what? I don't know.
I think people have too much time on their hands, to be honest, to be thinking of those series. I wasn't thinking that much into it.
And like, if you go back to the opening sequence, the cameras look like the alien toys at the Star Lasso experience. So it's like, is this saying that this is an effect of PTSD from that horrifying experience that the child actor went through? And Coop, I think you touched on this just before, saying that like the chimp sequence was shown to display that the chimp is an animal, animals are unpredictable, and is that a commentary on the alien being just like of its own free will?
The point is, you are not allowed to leave the house.
For God's sake, Stan, I just want to pick up a pack of smokes.
Have you managed to contact your home planet yet?
Oh, you know, I was going to do it yesterday, but I got distracted.
Jordan Peele, when it comes to metaphors, I had the same criticism about Get Us like I do in Nope, but it's also the same thing I had for Us as well, where his whole thing was like, no, it's about the separation of class between those who live above and those who live below, and us is actually a metaphor for United States, US, us. And it's like, I just don't really I'm not on board with it. It just feels a bit haphazard. But what I will say is my favorite part of the film is actually Keke Palmer. I love Keke Palmer in everything she's in, whether it's True Jackson VP on Nickelodeon or Scream Queens or, you know, I just think she's such an underrated actress.
I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street. I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.
We'll see her in plenty of future movies now because I think she did such a stellar job.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the plot and everything, look, I'll give it credit for trying something different. I don't think we've had a alien movie where it's revealed that it's not actually an alien. It's a weird predator monster thing, but it's not an actual spaceship. But I just wish there was a lot more scariness in this movie too. You know, that whole that whole digestion scene could have been much more horrifying if we saw more of what was actually happening. So I think in this case, more is actually more, not less is more. Same with I think the chip sequence was pretty good. But even just the ending, I would have liked to have seen a lot more scariness. But this isn't my movie. I can't really critique it that much. But I will say I was put off by the posters. So I think it took me like 2 or 3 weeks to actually go and watch this movie. Whereas Get Out and Us, I watched on opening day. Because I was like, wait, so a horse is getting sucked up into a cloud, and then Jordan Peele's doing interviews about spectacle and amazement and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck is this movie about? I thought it was just about an alien. And no, it's actually about a weird monster predator thing that sucks people up. But I don't know. I think I'll still feel very mixed things about this movie if I decide to watch it a 4th time. But honestly, once was enough. I just needed to watch it 2 more times so I could be like, what is this movie trying to say about spectacle? Or what is this movie trying to put out into the world? Because Jordan Peele has a very heavy focus on social thematic issues like racism or with class warfare or even just around childhood trauma. So I was interested to see what this movie had to say had I actually been paying attention like I did the first time I watched it. But yeah. BP, what are your thoughts? Sorry, let me rewind. BP, did you have any favorite parts of this movie?
I like the chip scene. It's also a negative that we'll discuss in the negative part. I do like that. I think kind of eerie feeling, especially. I'm with you, Justin. I would like to have seen more in that scene. I mean, it's still kind of eerie enough when you just sort of hear the sort of the noises and the chimp going off its head. Like I said, I think aesthetically, it's quite a nice film. Like where it's set, it's done really well. I think the monster in the start of the movie is more intimidating than it became at the end. At the end, it kind of became like a shit show at the end. It's more laughable, I would say, in the end. Like it just didn't really fear me as it did in the start. And I think even just like the little glimpses where, you know, he's down at the gate at the night and then you catch like a glimpse of it just kind of zooming past. And it's just so like eerie because it just looks like a UFO, just like a thing flying through the clouds. And the second time around, I didn't notice the cloud on the picture when the guy comes over. And I remember at the movies, I was like, I didn't understand what was going on. I think because the screen's so big, I'm like, what am I looking at?
Yeah.
And then watching it on a small TV, I was like, the cloud doesn't move. That's so eerily creepy. I think, this movie works well. Are we still here?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It was on Coop and Coop wasn't moving.
Still.
Yeah, I think it works well. It does leave, I guess, more questions than it does answers. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I appreciate the film, but I do have some negatives about it that we'll talk about. And my favorite, I guess, like in terms of like if we're talking about favorite parts and stuff, I really love the scene where I call it like the period scene where the monster's on the house. I find that so eerie and so creepy. And when that was happening, all I could think of was War of the Worlds. That's what I was sort of thinking of. This thing also reminds me of War of the Worlds in a lot of aspects. Even the scene where he's sort of in the car and opens the door and he's like, nope, and then locks the door and it's just sitting above. It just reminds me of War of the Worlds all over again. And what was the other bit? And the horse ranch scene as much as I'd love to see more, that was still like quite a good scene in itself. And I do like the shot of when the people are getting sucked up. It's the young actress with Gordy, and she's got the what do you call it, like the head sort of gown.
Oh, the one that got her face eaten by
Yeah. And then you
Yeah.
sort of see the shirt, and then you sort of see it's a good sort of like what they've obviously done with like wind and kind of like showing her face a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, and I think just the eeriness of hearing screams in the air and you're sort of like, what is that? Where is that coming from? And you can actually sort of make out in that the period scene, in the flood scene or whatever you want to call it, blood scene, you do hear him like yelling out like, help us. And then you hear the crunch, the just abrupt crunch and then silence. And that's just really creepy in itself.
Yeah.
Coop, likewise, same question. Did you have a favorite part or parts of this movie?
Probably the one I mentioned earlier, the scene with the local kids pranking him with the alien masks. I honestly thought that was really, really creepy. I also do like the big gulp in the air and then it fucking shits all over the house with all the blood, bones and stuff. It's pretty good. Probably, sort of the things like that sort of stand out. Chimp scene obviously is, really well done. There is some issues that I have with that as well, but we'll get to that. But I think there's like just a few really good standout parts in this movie, and I feel like the rest of it kind of falters, and it's a shame because those standout parts are really good. If it was much more sort of I guess more consistent, more well put together movie.
One thing that did frustrate me was the ending of this movie, because I've seen this 3 times and I switch between what the ending actually means, because this whole thing is supposed to be a thing about spectacle and, not trying to be famous and always trying to live in a grounded reality. Whereas the whole, well, not necessarily the whole plot for this movie, but one important motivation for the siblings character is they're trying to get their Oprah shot. Like they're trying to get footage of the actual UFO alien monster jellyfish thing. And they get it at the end. They somewhat defeat the alien. I don't know if they left that open-ended on purpose for a part 2, maybe. But the ending shot is Keke Palmer's character looking out and then she sees the brother. But if you go on Reddit, you'll see that there's other people saying that maybe he did die and that she's just pretending to imagine him, or maybe she didn't see him and she's smiling at something else or whatnot. The first time I saw this theory, I was like, oh, how stupid. Of course she saw it. Why would they put that in the movie? But now I'm thinking maybe she was just happy about the money shot that she got with the camera. Maybe that's why she was smiling. But I don't know. I feel like it's very haphazard. It's the same feeling I had with Us when I first watched it, where you see the shots of the people and they're all joining hands in the red coats and everything across America and stuff. And I was like, well, is there going to be a sequel? Is that what they're trying to set up? I just didn't really see the purpose of it. But likewise, I just wanted to see more. I wanted more scariness, more action, more actual showings of the Star Lasso experience, seeing more of them in the digestion and everything. And it's interesting because I see some people post on Reddit and even on Facebook and stuff, and they're like, this scene traumatized me. I had to rewatch it to get it out of my head. And I was like, are you serious? I was trying not to laugh the first time I watched it because I was like, are they in between 2 sheets? And they're like in a playground or something?
That's what it looks like.
It looks like 2 jumping castles.
Yeah. So, I don't know, I just wanted a little bit more. And I feel like that's going to be an ongoing frustration when I watch anything to do with Jordan Peele. So, yeah, that's why I crossed to bear. But, BP, did you have any least favorite part or parts about Nope?
Yeah, this movie, as we've all sort of discussed, Coop put it perfectly saying it does really good in small bits, but the rest is just, it's kind of, what'd you say, convoluted. I feel like it's sort of just jumbled, falls over itself. Unfortunately, all the good stuff is sort of buried between like a lot of baggage in this film. So the one thing that if I were, doing this film, the Gordy thing, yes, it's good. I didn't really think about much meaning behind it. I took it as it's filler. It's 15 minutes of just adding to the running time. If they took that out, they should have taken it out. It just feels like two separate films here. Like, make a Geordie film, call it Geordie, and do something about that. I just feel like it's two different things that aren't really talking to each other. As much as someone's like on Reddit about it's got meaning behind it, means this, means that. To me, it just felt completely random at the start, then jumping into the story and then keep jumping back to it. The one thing with this film, I don't know if he does it with Us and Get Out, is I don't like these abrupt sort of like key change scenes with like a chapter at the start. Didn't really care for that. And I noticed in some of the scenes, particularly in the ranch scene, there's that shot of the monster coming right towards him where he's under like just the staircase and then just cuts. Like, just little things like that. Like, I know I get what he's trying to do, but it just kind of like just either show it all or just don't show it at all. It just feels like it's kind of half-assed at this point. The monster itself, as I said at the start, I think it was intimidating. It was creepy. As it went on, it just kind of felt a bit ridiculous. I felt the ending. So this is how I took it at, where she's on the bike and he's at the other end of the driveway and it's going either way. This green thing coming out, I took that as like a mating call. It looked, to me, it felt like it was calling, like, come to me, come to me. And then I was getting like Rosalina vibes with the whole jellyfish. That's what I thought of, like Princess Rosalina or something. Like, what's going on here? It's like flourished, and then this green thing's coming out and it's like doing a mating call or something. That's how I took it as. Like, it just kind of got really weird at that point. And then I kind of like, when I watched it the first time, I was like, for a second, I'm like, hang on, is it thinking like it's met its partner as in the inflatable guy? That's what I took it as when it was in the air and it kind of took it under its captive and then went off with it. And I agree with the blood and gore. I wish there was more. The only thing you get close to it is in the ranch scene when everyone's going up in the jumping castle thing. There's one scene of a girl and she's got a bit of blood on her. And then it looks as though everyone's sort of going up slowly, but I don't know if they're getting like digested or if they're getting like put in there, but there's no real, you don't really see much on it, which is a bit of a shame. It sort of seems like it had the potential to be something and it didn't. And I wonder if there was maybe talks of like showing more gore and he kind of decided to tame it down to sort of keep with, maybe a sequel, there'll be more introduction of that. Yeah, so as a whole, I think the movie, it's pretty decent. Watching it a second time, there really wasn't much more that I gathered from it, more just the annoyance that the chimp scene, as well, as much as it's quite good, I just feel like it was really random, wasn't relevant to my watching experience anyway. And I just think, like, when 2 hours and 10 minutes, it's a long, we talk about this, like anything over 2 hours for a horror movie, you've got to be somewhat good at this point. And we've seen it, like It Chapter 2 was one of them, like 2 hours 40 or whatever it was like ridiculous. And this is like 2 hours and 10. And I just think if you cut things down, finessed it a little bit, maybe show more of the gore rather than the thing like fluttering around in the ranch, it could be better. Actor wise, like I said, the brother-sister combo was quite good. Didn't really care for the old man with the filming thing, and I didn't really care for the electronics boy. It was just kind of filler to me. Yeah, and I just think like I said, I question the marketing and I question the budget for this film. It just kind of irritates me that it costs a lot and not really getting a lot from it. Like, it's good CGI, but $68 million, like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing like it's on a ranch. It's not like we're going to I don't know, California, or we're going to Sunset Boulevard, or I don't know. It just feels like, where's this money being spent in this movie? I kind of struggled to understand where it is. Yeah, anyway, that's my rant.
And Byron's will be a separate episode that you can just
Nope.
It's I did read a little bit that there was an interview Jordan Peele gave recently, which was around new specific camera techniques that he used for this movie. I can't remember what they were. I remember reading it and being like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, that should be the standard for all future films.
Yep.
But maybe that's where the money went to. Is if I try to think about specific set pieces, nothing screams expensive to me. I mean, I'm pretty certain the digestion scene was all CGI, and even when they're like being put up through the whole throat or whatever, like, it just looks like two sheets that are spray painted pink, and they probably filmed it lying down and someone's just like pushing them along or whatnot.
They probably the money went towards the wacky inflatable.
Wacky wavy inflatable whaling on tube bed.
Yeah.
But yeah. Coop, did you have any least favorite part or parts of this movie?
One of the things that Byron mentioned was those sort of quick cuts, the kind of pointless ones where it's like halfway through a scene, and like there's a real blatant one, and it wasn't even my least favorite one, but it was the most on the nose, and it's the former child star. Ricky Park is talking to his wife, and he's about to say something, and then it just cuts. And that was just like, all right, yeah, having fun artistically, you wanker. It was just. I feel like he needed to be reeled in this, and there was just so much pointless shit throughout this movie. It's obviously, as you mentioned, it's 2 hours and 10 minutes long. It didn't need to be that long. It could have been half an hour less of that movie, and it wouldn't have been much of a different experience, really. Like I mentioned, the last 30 minutes of this movie, I really didn't enjoy. I still don't necessarily understand why. I think it was meant to be that this thing can sort of change forms. Is that why it became a giant jellyfish in the end and stopped looking like a UFO? Did it just do that because that's how it reels people in or something? But at the same time, it seemed to be able to suck people up quicker as a UFO than it did as a jellyfish. Because like you said, Byron, I didn't get the vibe of a mating call from it. But I'm like, why is it taking so fucking long for it to try and eat the thing in the sky? It's just like gesturing at it, like licking its lips almost, looking at this thing before it eats it. And obviously I'm assuming it fucked it up because it's plastic or whatever. But yeah, the last half an hour of this movie just made no sense, and it took away any of the sort of suspense or tension that was built around this thing hiding behind the cloud that you're fascinated by in the first half of the movie. It kind of, I don't know, shot itself in the leg. So I'd say the last half an hour of the movie is probably my least favorite thing about it. And even on those quick cuts as well, there was one in the Gordy scene where literally the scene's established, you know you're about to see what happened with Gordy and the brutal shit, and there's one of those quick cuts and it comes back to the exact same scene. It makes no sense. Like, someone need to reel him in. Like, you're just getting a bit too creative with it for no reason, and it doesn't serve a purpose anymore. So that was probably the last 30 minutes, and just the fact that there was just too much shit that didn't need to be there, and just heaps of pointless transitions, one of which actually transitioned to the same scene. So go figure.
It's all 3D all over again. But
yeah, it's touching on that, like the sequence thing. It's just like, I don't find it cool or creative. I find it just more a bugbear and annoying. And as I said earlier, like, either do it completely or just don't do it at all. Like, it's just kind of like when, you know, they're like coming summer 2023 and then it gets delayed again. I'm like, well, when is the actual like release date happening? Like, stop saying like coming 2024, because at this point it's not coming at 2024. Like, it got like frustrating in the end. And like you say, Coop, it just cuts off at really like important points. And it just kind of like, I think it just dours the watching experience at that point. You're just like, God, now we have to go through like ramble or conversation for 10 minutes and then, it's back again. Okay, sweet. Show us more. And then it's like, nah, cut. Yeah. Like the monkey scene, I don't know how long that played over, maybe the first 50 minutes, 45 minutes. Like, it was quite long for really not a lot of footage. And I thought, like, if you put this all together, it'd be maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was just pushed out with these chapter names that I didn't really care for. And I'm not going to remember either. I don't remember what they say now. It just...
it's just the name of all the horses.
Oh, yeah, no, but it's just like, to me, it doesn't break a scene up. Like, just show me the thing. The only thing I will say, one thing I did actually leave out with the positive is there's a really good shot of when it's in its like bath plug form, and it kind of does the sideways shot and it's going up. That was a really cool, like, I don't know, there's something about that, like, just aesthetically pleasing, like, wow, that's actually a really cool shot with the dust behind it. And I was sort of thinking in my head, I'm like, I wonder how they did this. I do want to know like the behind the scenes of getting, you know, I think there's a lot of drone shot in this as well, Justin. I was thinking, but like, surely not enough that's going to be 68 mil.
No, I mean, drone footage is quite expensive, so to give a little behind the scenes, so in Australia at the moment, if you wanted to hire a drone videographer for say 8 hours a day, you're looking at about $2,000. but I mean, that's nowhere near 68 million.
No.
So I don't understand how that, even if you say quadrupled that amount to say like 4K footage or for like ultimate retakes and day after day shooting, maybe at the most 1 million. But I mean, I would say it's probably around the $200,000 to $250,000 cost range. That's with the staff involved as well. So I don't know why it's so much. There's a fan theory online that with the green shiny square thing in the jellyfish form, that apparently it's designed. I can't remember where I found it, but apparently Jean Jacket, as it's known, the monster thing, it only sucks up people who look directly at it.
Yeah, that's right.
But the thing that I don't understand is, like, I know for sure there were a couple of shots at the end where he's running away on the horse and everything while Keke Palmer's trying to get the camera footage and everything.
And he's got eyes on the back of his head. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah. I was like, maybe...
How does it... Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous.
Like, how doesn't he get sucked up? But also, with the jellyfish form, where would he get sucked up to anyway? Because it seemed like it was all quite open and expansive.
Yeah.
There was no throat hole, no tube, anything like that. I was like, where's it going?
And correct me if I'm wrong. So from what I'm gathering, the ranch sequence initially with the show, so the chimp guy obviously feeds a horse to it in a show, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know it's a movie, but it just sort of seems weird that like this whole time, these, the brother and the sister living at this house have never seen this thing appear during the day. Just little things like that, like, oh, it's just come out of nowhere and it's now hunting them. And I just find that hard to understand, especially when you sort of be like, they've got a show set around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, I think it has good intentions. I just think it gets muddled up in its own mess. And I think Jordan Peele also, like you said, Justin and Coop, was kind of like taking the piss at some point, just like, we get it, cool. But like, as sort of like three of us that really like horror movies, I just get frustrated by this film, I guess, in a lot of areas.
Like, I don't understand what exactly went wrong with this movie, because from what I've read, it doesn't seem like there was any studio interference. Didn't seem like he was held to a particularly strict release date. I mean, Jordan Peele said himself that he wrote this during COVID when he was reflecting on the whole spectacle of the entertainment industry, and he wanted to make something that harkens back to 80s, like alien movies, like, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or I mean, even just like Steven Spielberg movies in general. Like, this was his major summer blockbuster. And I mean, did he achieve it? I kind of think so. I mean, we're talking about it now, and it does seem to have like its placement in pop culture per se. I don't know how this movie will fare, say, after a couple of years, once people have like taken the time to rewatch it. Maybe it might be his least preferred movie to watch under his directorial banner. But I mean, if I think about Jordan Peele as a director, I think he shows a lot of promise. I just think there needs to be significant tightening when it comes to the actual script writing itself. So all these metaphors he wants to put in, they're actually clearly explained and also add to the story, as opposed to being like, ooh, isn't this so cool and genius and funky? Because it never comes across that way. But also get rid of the plot holes, and actually just put some scary stuff in it. Like, I can think of some scary parts from Get Out and Us, whereas with Nope, I mean, the alien masks and maybe the first couple of minutes of the whole chimp scene, where you just hear the sounds of that chimp festering on the girl, and it's just like, holy shit, what is... Like, the audio design I love, but everything else I just think maybe someone needs to co-write or co-direct or get a new team of editors, because it feels like Netflix edited this movie. I mean, as we've touched on before.
But I think the issue with this film, just looking at it, it's like directed, written, produced by him. So he's kind of got all the shots in all key areas.
So power.
So, I mean, the only thing is it was produced by Ian Cooper as well. That's the only bit. But when you've sort of got all the shots, like, you know, if I'm on set, who's going to listen to like just like a actor on set or like a sound designer? Like, he's not going to care. He's going to do what he wants. He goes, you don't know how to film. Like, this is how I'm doing it. I just found some trivia as well. The voice of the TMZ motorbike rider was Nicolas Cage.
It was okay. That's what my partner thought. Is that Nicolas Cage? Like, that voice sounds familiar. And
it felt very cameo, that whole thing. I'm like, something.
We never saw his face.
No, and I was waiting for a kind of reveal shot. Either he was going to take it off at the end. I'm like, who is this person? And I didn't even know it was TMZ until he said TMZ. I just thought it was some Muppet on like a Tesla motorbike. That's why I looked at it.
Now, I always forget the name of the actor, but the adult actor who plays the adult version of the child star who owns the Star Master experience. So he was in an episode of the rebooted Twilight Zone series that Jordan Peele like directed and all that. And in the episode he's in, and this goes into my criticism of metaphors and everything. The episode is very, very strong. It's about this whole police community that discovered this random guy played by the adult actor who's just sitting in one of the cells, and he looks so creepy. No one knows what his intentions are, but it's this whole theme throughout the episode around paranoia and like xenophobia. Do we trust him because he happens to be the only Asian person in the room, whereas it's like a white-centric town? And then plot twist, turns out he was trying to cause mass confusion and everything so that he could help the aliens invade that town. So it kind of feels like the precursor to Nope in some ways, like the whole alien invasion and stuff. But it comes out of nowhere so unexpectedly that's like, wait, did I miss something? Like, go back and rewind, and it's like, oh, nope, Jordan Peele decided that at the last 30 seconds we'll have an alien invasion. And that's his way for saying, don't be xenophobic, but don't trust anyone that's different. And it's like, what is the message? I don't understand. Like, is this going to be a really great horror piece on anti-racism, or is it telling me to be racist? I don't understand. I think that comes from, I'm not saying he's lacking screenwriting experience, but maybe just lacking, an eighth version of the script, or just having it polished or looked over by someone more professional so that the message is clear, because there's a lot of muddled messaging and I just struggle with it.
Hey, R.L. Stein, you're a bad writer. Writing Goosebumps was easy as shit. Let's be honest, you phoned it in for some. Bad Hair Day. Book about an evil rabbit. How many drafts that take you? The book is about 90 pages, and half of it is a preview for another book. What the f***? You lazy piece of shit. Anyone could have done your job, R.L. Stein. I'll come up with 5 Goosebump books off the top of my head right now. Mummy Math Class, The Ghost of My Braces, Uh-oh, My Sex Ed Teacher is a Giant Ant, Lunch Lady's Looking to Kill Me, and, Ghost Beach. Oh my god, you already wrote Ghost Beach! F*** you, R.L. Stein.
Do either of you have any final thoughts?
No quick cuts.
Yeah. Just know when enough is enough, and don't keep going with it.
One title card is enough.
Yeah.
That's his next movie. It's just a title card, and then it just goes straight to the credits.
Yep.
Well, BP and Coop, thank you both very much for joining me again today.
Quick cut.
Thank you. Nope.
Listeners, in our next episodes, we discuss